Insert disc 2.
I've got several topics this week. Several topics.
Hit me.
Whack! I'd love to do it. So, there's been a lot of buzz this week on various retro gaming related items, Bo. I figure we probably just touch on some of these modern retro topics.
Okay.
Topic 1. I have been following the PlayStation Mini this week. I don't know how much you've looked into this delightful little scamp of a Mini.
I think lead balloon is the general consensus on how this thing is going over.
Well, yeah, I'd say you're right. But, I mean, that's in the retro crowd. You don't know how it's doing in the straight world, as we say.
True.
However, I've noticed that the past couple of days, recent events have popped up that may make this console a little more interesting to people. And by now, this is old news if you get on YouTube much. But they have actually managed to kind of break into the emulation portion of the... now,
okay.
This was, I got to tell you, Bo, this is so tricky, so hardcore that there's no way a person like yourself could ever get into the simulation. Here's what they did. Some dude was like, hey, man, this thing's got a USB port. I'm going to stick my keyboard in this thing. Burp, he did. Logitech keyboard. What happens if I hit escape? Bam, there's the emulator.
Oh, my gosh. That's unreal.
That was that easy. Now, what can you do in here? Well, you can change various emulator options. You can, among other things you can do, one of the beats of this game is 9 of the games are in PAL, and they ran slow, horribly slow. You can just change them in NDSC.
Oh, wow.
So that's a plus.
Yeah.
One would wonder why that wasn't done to begin with.
And I remember hearing about half of the games or something like that are in PAL mode. Did you figure out why? Do you know why?
No one's sure. Here's my theory, and it's funny. Reading Discord is where I got the thought of this. Sony is a large, multinational super corp. Okay. And most of their money, someone mentioned, comes from the insurance game or something like that. They're still in the electronics game. The PlayStation's not their number one priority. And I've got the feeling that this was something that some C-level department put together and manufactured and shit. I don't think anyone gave a crap. And I don't really think Sony gives a crap if it sells well or anything. I just get the feeling that's the only thing I can see to justify the jakey, kind of half-assed approach to doing this. That much said. And again, all these minis, they're all emulated versions of the original thing, which that's okay. And so this one's no different. But this one the difference was the care given to this one was poor. Not even the interface. It's not great, but that's okay. But it's just poor. When you put PAL games in, it's just stupid. So I wasn't terribly surprised to learn you could hit escape on the keyboard and break into the emulation portion of these things and tinker around. Now, to the best of my knowledge, you cannot load new games from there yet. But a video just popped up today from a fellow who allegedly was able to load new games on the item. So we'll see. So that might make it interesting because the Super Nintendo, for example, has a lot more legs than it would have without the hacked portion of it. And following along those lines, I saw also on Discord that you chatting with somebody on there about the ability to put Amiga games on the Super Nintendo. Did you see? You saw this?
Yeah.
Have you got yours is hacked? Have you actually done
so
that yet?
I got mine. It was a generous gift from our buddy Christopher Hasifa, and he sent it to me pre-hacked. And with some extra games on it, and I've put even more games on it. And I've got Neo Geo, Super Nintendo, regular Nintendo.
Now, are these stored on the device or these are external?
These are stored on the device.
Okay, so how much room is in there?
That is a great question. I'm not sure what the limit is in the program that you use to interface with it. They give you that information. I just haven't looked. But my plan is over the break, they actually have a way that you can go in and design custom folders. So you can have system folders, and you can end up with an interface that's very similar to a Raspberry Pi. And so
you realize the irony here.
Well, the difference is that the Raspberry Pi looks like a pile of garbage, and the SNES Mini looks like a little SNES.
You can literally take a SNES Mini, gut it, put a pie in it, and you would have a pie. It would look exactly the same.
Well, yeah. I mean, you.
Well,
could.
I'm just saying, come on, Bo. It doesn't look like garbage. You could put the pie in anything. Anything. It doesn't have to look like the power supply you made for the Amiga.
Hey,
which is still
that
working,
is
by
a
the
work of
way.
art. No one can cut a hole in a shoebox like I can.
Multiple holes. Give yourself credit, Bo.
But anyway, my plan is to really turn that into a Pi-like emulation device because, like I said, the Pi that you gave me is in the arcade machine over there, and so I'm excited. I was excited to see the Amiga stuff on there, but like you said, it doesn't run 100% perfect. And I have doubts about the how the keyboard interface works and stuff like that. So
it's impressive to even put a keyboard. I mean, it's something. It's cool. I mean, I've been kind of hard on the minis because I don't fully see the point. But for your average Joe public, they're fine. Or people that just want to have a collector's item. And the PlayStation is basically the same. It's funny that people are complaining that it has a public access, publicly available emulator on it. But I mean, it's a good emulator.
Yeah.
It does a good job.
You don't need to rewrite the wheel.
They just did a crap job putting it getting it on there. And this thing proves it. You could have just made these changes and then showed it like that.
Yeah.
Something else I want to talk about this week. 2 weeks ago, remember our show way back? We talked about the one-up arcade machines at Walmart.
I do. I remember that well.
I actually got to play one in the intro. I think I touched on it briefly, but I actually got to play a Galaga at Walmart it was 2 weeks ago today, I believe. I got to go in there and play one of these things, and it played pretty well, and it looked good. I was like, man, this is a pretty good-looking machine. So I had heard that these machines had dropped in price, and I hear all these rumors. Now you can get it for $200. Now you can get it for $150. Some people say they can get it for $100.
Wow.
I'm like, man, $100. Aaron might be tempted to pick one, maybe the trackball one up, or maybe do something just a fun little project.
Right.
So I tiptoed over to the Walmart today to check these things out.
This is the Hurricane Walmart.
No, same Walmart, the one in Ashland.
Okay, because the Hurricane Walmart, I have not seen those over at the Hurricane Walmart.
And went there, and guess what? They're still $299. Now they did have some on sale for $209, but not all of them. So, and I've word on the street is there's going to be a new crop of these coming out with different games. Wish I could remember what the games were that I'd heard, but so I don't know how. I keep hearing these people are super successful. They're not successful. The only thing I know is that the arcade community, the proper arcade community, that have actual arcade cabinets, because if you don't know this, because you're not in the arcade community, much like everything, like the Amiga community, the arcade community is this huge, old school,
thriving mass of discontent.
And but one thing they all have, they've found a unifying factoid, and they all hate the one-up cabinet.
Right.
And I'll admit, the first time I heard them, I had the same reaction, like, look at this crap. But there's nothing wrong with these things, except, and I'm getting it. So I'm bad-mouthing the people that bad-mouth these. I'm going to bad-mouth the unit. So 2 weeks ago, I played this thing at Walmart, Galaga. All right, it looked great. It played well. Okay. Today I stopped over and I'm looking at these one-up arcade machines, and they're like I said, they're so expensive. So I go over to have another round of Galaga, and I look at this thing. I took a picture of it. I'll have to upload it later. The control panel is, and this is 2 weeks, is worn away. Mm-hmm. It is just white plastic.
Yeah.
And one of the beefs about these machines was that the dye or whatever they used to make the machines was low impact, like it would go away quick. So I mean, if you use an arcade machine, you can imagine the amount of beatings and touchings that these things get.
I mean, your hands are all over them.
Now, and I'll give the people that make the arcade machines credit. They've come up with a deluxe gimmick. It's very simple. It's just a piece of plexi that sits over, just like a regular arcade machine has sometimes, that sits over top of the control panel and will prevent this from happening. But the sheer fact that this thing wore away, and when I say white, I mean as white as this table, in 2 weeks. Now, granted, you're going to get a lot of play at Walmart, but I mean, it's condensed play. Let's say you had the thing for a year. There's no way it would have lasted. It would have been gone.
Yeah.
Not a good sign. That was, I had to say, that was a big turnoff to see that. So to get significant use out of these things, you're probably going to have to augment them, with this deluxe add-on, which ain't free, by the way. These things, you have to pay a couple bucks for them. So that made me think maybe I don't need an arcade one-up.
The ones that, like you said, the ones that appeal to me the most are the ones that have the alternative controls. The trackball, The lunar lander machine that's got the Major Havoc and all that stuff. That's cool. But just to have another arcade machine with a joystick and 3 buttons or whatever, I don't need that. I've already got several.
I've seen some videos of people that are fighting back and have got their own little arcade of these things. Bought them all, like 5 or 6 of these things, and they've got the risers, so they've built their own little risers, and they've got a nice little arcade, and I mean, it's nice.
Here's the thing: you buy 5 of these things, and you spend $1,000. You don't have to buy a lot of real arcade machines before you hit that limit.
Right.
And
the arcade community, I'm telling you, they hate these. And every time anyone mentions them, they all destroy the poster. They hate them. And I got to thinking about why that is. Why do you think that the arcade community at large hates these so much? What do you think makes them that mad?
I think they're threatened by them. It's somebody moving into their neck of the woods that they don't want. It's an undesirable. It's people that aren't real collectors. It's the same thing. That anything happens to an internet community where there's a sudden influx of new blood. People want to pretend like what they have is special and only for them. And when other people are having just as good of an experience, and it's not exactly the same experience that they have, that they think is the best experience, they react.
It's funny. A couple weeks ago, we talked about how the YouTube community, when one of them jumps on something, it's a full-on beatdown for likes. And remember the Neo Geo Mini that came out a couple months ago? It got pounded across the board. Hated. And I was listening to Pixel Gaiden this week, Eric Nelson's show, and he had interviewed this dude who had one, and he loved it. He had a Neo Geo. He was a big Neo Geo guy. And he loved it, and expostulated on the virtues of this little thing. And it's the first person I've heard come out and talk about how much they love the little device, how great it is. Now, I'm not saying go out and buy a Neo Geo, but what I'm saying is, sometimes you've got to ignore everyone because you've got to take a lot of these opinions with a grain of salt. I mean, not everything that everybody kills is going to be something you want to go out and pick up. Most of the time it probably is garbage, but a lot of these people are it's just follow the leader.
Yeah.
Follow the leader of hate. Just like the PC Mini. Everyone thought that was a stupid idea. Is it really? No, probably not, So think for yourselves, man. Don't even listen to us. Well, don't listen to him.